This is All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. In the film Bugonia, screenwriter Will Tracy had to keep audiences guessing about one central question. Is a high-powered CEO, played by Emma Stone, actually an alien? That's what Teddy thinks. He's played by Jesse Plemons. Teddy has managed to convince his cousin Dawn that this CEO, a woman named Michelle, is actually an alien sent to Earth to destroy humanity. Teddy and Dawn kidnap Michelle and then hold her captive for questioning. Michelle insists they have it wrong, but Will's script leaves you wondering whether these men are delusional or whether they might actually be onto something. Bugonia was directed by Yorgos Lanthimos and is nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture. Will Tracy is also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. The story is based on a 2003 Korean film, Save the Green Planet. You can stream Bugonia now on Peacock, and screenwriter Will Tracy joins me now as part of our ongoing Oscar series, The Big Picture, focusing on Oscar nominees who work behind the camera. Hey, Will.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. I read that you started working on this in 2020. It seems like so long ago.
Yeah.
It was during the lockdown, and so many of us were struggling during that time. How do you think you channeled some of those experiences into the script?
Well, I mean, I don't think I could have written the same script at all had it been a different time. I mean, first of all, I just had finally, for the first time in a while, a moment to write where I didn't have a day job. I had been working on in series television, which is sort of nonstop, and suddenly I had just some time to write. And then, yeah, I think as you suggested, I was just in a moment there where I think, like a lot of us, was feeling quite isolated and quite confused and afraid, and no one quite sure what story to believe, the official story or the unofficial story, and also just feeling a little bit like what was already kind of happening and then fully got broken during maybe those early months of COVID, that feeling of, I guess, that there was a kind of a mass disassociation from reality that we were seeing in front of our eyes, and a feeling that, yeah, that civic institutions didn't really feel as robust or as trustworthy as they used to feel. And so maybe like Teddy a little bit, I had some of those feelings of looking for answers. I didn't resort to the same methods that, that Teddy resorts to, but I have a lot of time for him. He's not entirely wrong.
Yeah, there are so many conspiracy theories, from Pizzagate to QAnon, after COVID especially. Why do you think conspiratorial thinking has become so prevalent in recent years?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just, not to reiterate what probably your listeners have heard 1,000 times, but obviously it kind of, um, the I guess what's happening to mainstream media and sort of distrusted media is part of it. I also think there's been quite a lot of cynical co-opting of conspiratorial thinking by our current administration. And so I think for those reasons, there's a natural feeling that anyone who's a conspiracy theorist, that they're crazy or stupid or right wing or extremely left wing, or in some way politically captured by some group and not kind of thinking clearly. And it was important to me writing the script to approach Teddy with a certain degree of empathy, that to not to feel like he's this sort of toxic incel male boogeyman that you read about in, the Atlantic or whatever, that this is a guy who has been properly abused by, big pharma, big tech, the police, capitalism generally, and that his community and his family and his own psyche have suffered. And he's, again, not entirely wrong about the way our society has become atomized, the way our democracy has become less effective. And yeah, he goes
Yeah.
looking for answers.
Yeah, Jesse Plemons plays Teddy in a way where he is sometimes scary, sometimes he seems pathetic, sometimes he seems prescient when you talk to him. What did you admire about his performance as Teddy, his approach to the
Wow.
character?
Yeah, I mean, I was really worried about that part when I write a script. I try not to think about any actors while I'm writing, as to kind of guard yourself from the disappointment when you send it to them and you find out that they're booked for the next 2 years straight. So I just kind of picture faceless people when I'm writing it, or I make up a face. But when I finished the script, I thought, well, this is going to be a really juicy part for a lot of young actors. And then when I tried to make a list of people who had those qualities that you needed, were someone who could be menacing and scary, but could also be quite sweet in a way and could kind of become a little boy on the turn of a dime if you need them to. Like it's hard to find someone who hit all of that stuff and felt just authentically real and desperate and American. And so the list was short. And then it wasn't until Yorgos came onto the project and suggested Jesse, who he had just worked with in Kinds of Kindness. You know, not a lot of other directors could make that move because Jesse's not known for being a lead actor. He's known for being this amazing kind of character actor who does supporting roles. I always thought he could be a great lead actor, and Yorgos did too. And I think this movie hopefully is proof that he can absolutely carry a movie. I mean, I think he's just phenomenal.
Here's a clip of Jesse Plemons as Teddy talking to Michelle after he's kidnapped her. She's been chained in the basement. And by the way, her hair has been shaven off. This is from Bugonia.
Where's my hair?
Your hair has been destroyed.
You shaved off my hair?
Yes, we've shaved off your hair.
Why have you shaved off my hair?
To prevent you from contacting your ship.
My ship?
Your ship.
What ship?
Your mothership?
So we are left with this idea that she's an alien, and I don't want to give too much away, but somebody in that entire cast may be an alien. When you were writing it, did you think about people who would watch it the second time?
Yeah, and in fact, I remember even on set, and she said this a few times since, Emma Stone saying that it was the first time for her as an actor that she had to think about her performance while in a scene, what an audience on the second viewing would be thinking. Because yeah, there's quite a bit that's revealed in the movie, and you know, my worry writing the script is that any movie that's built around a kind of big question that needs to be answered, a big reveal, that my worry is that once you know that reveal, I don't want the movie to be like this toy, this wind-up toy that does a reveal or does a surprise or does a twist, and then once you know it, there's no reason to see it again. So I actually kind of put the big, you know, whatever revelations the movie has a little bit out of my head, knowing that they would serve me when I needed them to, and tried to concentrate really on the rest of the movie, especially these kind of long conversations between the characters and making those as emotionally and even politically rich as I could.
I am speaking with Oscar-nominated screenwriter for Bugonia, Will Tracy, as part of our ongoing series, The Big Picture, where we celebrate the talent behind the lens. Begonia, by the way, is available to screen on Peacock. Now, Yorgos came onto the film after you wrote it. Why do you think he ended up being a good director for this particular story? Because he's known for a particular kind of work.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I wrote it about a year before he came onto the project. And I mean, the kind of glib but sort of true answer is that I think I unintentionally wrote a very Yorgosian or Lanthimosian script. I mean, I think we ended up being very simpatico. And I could tell on the very first time we talked, and most of our talk was not notes or even talking about the movie. It was just sort of getting to know each other, which I think is very important to Yorgos, that he wants to work with people who are he can get along with. So I could just tell from that first talk that we were simpatico. And so that really, I think that very much helped. But I think also a lot of it has to do with maybe a similar sensibility around humor that I think we both write. I think everything that both of us have done is comedic in some way. But I think we both know that the key to, you know, good drama and good comedy really is sort of, even when the situations are extreme and absurd and inherently funny, to have the actors and the dialogue and even in the kind of the staging to play it straight, right? To play it like these people really believe it. They really mean it. It's life or death for them. It's not a joke to them. And the situations can never be funny, but they can't, you know, we're not trying to go for punchlines in that way. And there's a way that you can go the opposite with it, and it becomes quite arch and unserious, and it doesn't really have a whole lot of emotional reality to it. And I think we wanted to be really careful with that balance.
I wanted to ask about Teddy's cousin, Don. he sort of feels like the emotional heart of the movie in some
Yeah.
ways. He's also neurodivergent. He's played by Aiden, I think it's Delbus.
Hmm.
Was that character always neurodivergent?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's not specified as such in the script. I try not to, when I'm writing the script, be too programmatic about what type of actor to cast, or even kind of physical details of the character. I like to leave some of that open for the director and obviously the cast, so that you don't feel boxed into one type. Obviously, I wrote the character though without using the word neurodivergent. That was sort of there latent maybe in the character, and then of course once Aiden, who's a first time actor and terrific actor, I mean he spends the whole movie with these two heavyweight actors basically in a basement, and never once do you feel like he's out of place. He's
Yeah.
so compelling, and once he came on board, yeah, I kind of did a pass on the script. For Aiden, but not to change the essence of the character at all, but if anything, just to make it easier for him, not as a neurodivergent actor, but just as a first-time actor, to make the dialogue a little bit more in his natural speaking cadence, which is very particular. And yeah, and maybe to simplify the dialogue a bit.
This is your first Oscar nomination. Where were you when you found out?
I'm on the East Coast. I'm in New Jersey, so I had just gotten the kids out the door. Um, my wife was driving them to school. I had made them breakfast and was cleaning up, and they had literally the car had just pulled out, and it was so 8:30 a.m. So I didn't even get to sort of celebrate with my family. They were sort of gone. So I called them in the car and said, "Yeah, what happened?"
Were you like
But
loading the dishwasher? What were you doing?
that's pretty much it. It's not, I would say it's all together. It's not a life-changing event. It's sort of a day-changing event for about an hour. And then I remember kind of later that night being like kind of in a bad mood because I overcooked the rice at dinner time. It's like, you kind of very quickly snap right back into all your usual stuff, which I think is good.
Well, I have been speaking with Oscar-nominated screenwriter. You always get to say that, Will Tracy. Thanks for being with us, Will.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.